Okay gang, it is time for part 2 of our ROM hacking series. This is another sort of graphics video, which is going to help you find some of the things that you shouldn't be able to find yet. So for instance, we have the text input screen, and this is just whenever you input your name for a new game. And you can clearly see that there's not very much going on with this palette, and all of our colors are coming from right here. But if you were to enter all of these into Advanced Palette Editor, and trust me, these are all typed in correctly, if you go to search, it's not going to be able to find it. And the reason that is because it's broken up inside the ROM. And so basically the way you'd go about finding these is you'd need to search for pairs of colors. So you could do these two, you could do these two. Let's just go ahead and start with this one. And you're going to notice that this is a 0cc6. We're going to be using this reverse format. So I'm going to use one of our old hex editors, which we're going to get something new in the next video, but this one's really easy to search with. So for instance, if you were to try to find and type in C60C, you're going to get a ton of results, not giving you the exact location. So go ahead and type in C60C and then type in 0801. Now, if you try to find this one, it's still not going to find it. And the way you're going to find this one is the break happens in between these two. So what you can also try is add 00 in between them. Perfect. So now you can see it's giving us 4 results, and they all look pretty much right. So you see C60C, 0801. We see AD19, D001, 1112. You can see this one's basically the same. And pretty much the way you'd figure out which one of these 4 is the right one is you could change this first color to something crazy like red or blue, and then save it and check it. So it's a little bit of guess and check for these sort of palettes, but this is how you're going to find palettes that are not able to be found normally. Okay, so something I also haven't talked about is how you use these byte forward and back. So I'm just going to find something random inside the ROM. Okay, perfect. So now you can see we've got the, I think this is the win, lose kind of screen, and you can see that it's all chopped up. You can actually see this specific, these little lines right here, that these tools are going to help you fix that. So you can actually go either way. If you want, I'm just going to go until it straightens out. And let's just go ahead and make it wider. Perfect. So now you can start to see it's coming together. Let's go ahead and expand it a little bit. Perfect. Wow. So yeah, you can see if it's ever messed up like that, you do need to use the bit shifting, especially if it's those minor adjustments. So yeah, that's how you're going to end up doing these. Okay, so another thing that we're going to go over is what to do whenever you can't find certain graphics inside the game. So I mentioned that if you scroll through the game, you can find graphics to modify. But if you were to scroll through the whole ROM, you're never going to find these 6 starting decks. And the reason that is because it's in a slightly different format. And you can sort of tell this by, if you go to view tiles, you can see that we can see the icons here are sort of in the right format, select first deck, but some of these things just look a little weird. So if you were to flip on 256 colors, you can see that now the decks are starting to show up, and some other things like these compressed background graphics. So the reason that is because it's in a slightly different format. And the way you'd go about finding these is you have to switch the view into 8 BBP linear. I'm pretty sure it only uses these 2, but do not quote me fully on that yet. But yeah, go ahead and switch it to 8 BBP linear, and you're going to be able to find different graphics, like some of the card thumbnails and stuff like that. And basically these are where our decks are going to be. So if you go back to our worksheet, I've got the location here, just like last time, and go ahead and copy this. Go to our navigate, go to, and just paste it in there. Boom. So now it took us to the decks, and it's actually basically fully informed that we need it. So go ahead and bring up the bottom now. And now what we're going to do, just like last time, is you'd need to find the palette, These 64 color palettes are a little bit different. So if you take a look at the palette here, these are the objects, which we can of course figure out by toggling this. So we know they're objects, and we know that it's going to be over here, and you can pretty much see that this is one full table. You can kind of figure it out because most of the tables go from darkest to lightest, and there's no other objects being displayed really. So we can tell that these are the palettes that we're going to do. And since it's 64, it's a little bit different. So you just need to find this first row, and I've gone ahead and did that here. And these are the 4 rows of palettes. So just like last time, we're going to import it to TileMole, and we need to convert this first number first, which is this. So go ahead and go to palette, import from this file, and paste in our offset. And this time it's a 64 color palette. So type in 64, hit OK. And you can see it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And it's got our 64 colors from the game imported into our viewer. So let's go ahead and create a bookmark, and we're going to call these decks, and let's go ahead and save it also. Copy to, and we're going to export it as structure decks default, and go ahead and save it. So now go ahead and close this mini window to avoid any permission errors, and now we're going to go over to our Photoshop and open our structure decks. So boom, this is what the thing we'd be modifying to do in order to get the decks in the game. I've also made a template for this to make it a ton easier. So let's just go ahead and open, and you can sort of see if I disable these layers, I've got some special shadows and reflection stuff going on, as well as the addition stuff. And so this will be really easy. You just need to find 5 random pictures, or, maybe the ace monsters for the deck. So I'll just use some random awesome images for no particular reason. We have a completely normal Burstinatrix. We've got some interesting stuff going on here, and let's go ahead and throw a Pot of Greed somewhere over here. And yeah, let's just go ahead and clean it up. So boom, I'm gonna leave this here so you can see sort of what this outline looks like. But yeah, we've got 6 new structure decks here, and just like last time, we're gonna need to convert it into 64 colors. So go ahead and go to image, mode, go to index color. It will of course make you merge. And again, these 3 are the ones we're going to use local. And just go ahead and type in 64. And sort of what I mentioned in the notes last time is if you leave this green layer in between all the boxes, you don't need a layer for transparency. But if you do it in a different way that has the background completely blank, then go ahead and save a layer for transparency. But since we have the green, we don't need to save one. So we can hit OK. And now what we need to do is save our palette, color table. And you can see we've got our 64 colors here, and we're just going to save this. So we'll call this Decks Palette Modified. Save and hit OK. And the last thing we need to do here is save this as a PNG. So go to Save As, and go ahead and save this as a PNG, and we'll call this Structure Decks Modified. So go ahead and save it. And now we've got our graphics part done. So now we need to import the colors into Advanced Palette Editor, and go ahead and pull up the worksheet again. And now we can use this first row. So go ahead and copy it and paste it, load from offset, and just paste it and hit load. So this is that first row of the structure deck palettes. And if you move 1, you can see this is AD4. If you move 1, this is the F4, this is the B14, and this is the B34. So these 4 different addresses are the ones we need to change. And what we're going to do is bring in our palette just like last time, switch the viewer, and we've got our 4 indexes here. So remember, you are going to need to switch the transparent layer to the front. So what I always recommend is copy this and then reuse their transparent color, E083. So let's go ahead and replace this first slot. It's going to say it's not safe to replace, just hit OK. Move 1 over here, move to our index 2. Go ahead and replace 2. Go to our 3rd slot and go to our index 3. Now you can see this is where our transparent layer was. We need to paste whatever was in the first value here and just go ahead and hit replace. And go ahead and move to our 4th slot and our 4th index and hit replace. So now, yeah, we can actually go back and check these by toggling them. So that one's correct, that one's correct, that one's correct, and our first one is correct. So now that we've got all the palettes loaded, we can go back into TileMole, open our ROM, go ahead and navigate to our bookmark, decks, and let's go ahead and import our palette now. This should be the same if you haven't done anything since, so go ahead and hit OK. So now you can see these are our colors imported into the viewer, and go to Edit, Paste From, and hit Structured X Modified. So perfect. Now you can see we've got our image, and of course, whenever you click in the grade to place it, if it's the same, then you've done this right. So perfect. Now we've got the images and the palette changed, and go ahead and hit Save. So now let's go back to our emulator and give it a little refresh. And boom, now you can see we've got whole new structure deck images in place for whenever we change the structure decks in the next episode. And yeah, you can see even the outline that was originally yellow has now changed to whatever we want it to be. So you can do something spiky or something crazy like that. But that's how you're going to end up changing 64 palette objects or 64 color sort of graphics. And also that's how you're going to do a different viewer in the mode in order to find more graphics. So I hope you like this second lesson. This is going to be all the graphics we're going to be doing for now. I will have to come back whenever I figure out how to do the title screen like this. And for homework this time, I went ahead and left you the address for this specific image. So if you pull this up, I've got some data for you and some written notes to help you along the way. So yeah, I hope you like this one. If you like it, please like this. We're gonna need to get some awesome ROM hacks put out for this game, and hopefully we get everything covered pretty soon. All right, y'all.